As a 3D game artist that's freelancing or thinking about freelancing, how do you figure out what you should ask when it comes to your hour or day rate? That's the topic of today's video, and it's one that can be quite difficult, one that I struggled with myself in the past, so I thought it would be good to share some of my insights, experiences I had with it, and the steps I took myself that I think can also help you to figure this out. But before we begin, my name is Robert. I've been a game artist, a 3D game artist for 22 years, where the last 8 I've been running my own art studio, meshmasters.com, where the last year we've been expanding what we do at Meshmasters with helping you, other 3D artists, become the creative professional they should be and want to be, with topics like today's video, but also pretty much the business of art, things like networking, stepping into the world, how do you present yourself, freelancing, getting a job, studio work, communication, management, all the soft skills. So really the professional side of what we do. That said, back to the topic. Hour rate, day rates, and how do you determine that? This has been a difficult thing for me to also figure out when I started freelancing, and eventually I used and found a couple of steps that that helped me really figure that out, and I want to tell you about them so you can also use them. There's really 3 steps to it. One is the most important one. Figure out what you need on a monthly basis regarding money to survive and sustain your current lifestyle or the lifestyle you want to have. And really the best way to do this is to make an Excel or Google sheet, and all the expenses you can think of, put it in that sheet. So we're talking about rent, food, utility, internet, software costs, transport, phone, maybe loans, everything you can think of, put it into that sheet on a monthly basis. But also, of course, don't forget about things like taxes, savings that you want to, build up over time. Training you might want to do. Maybe you want to have like a set or an amount that you can set aside to do a course or training every year. So build in buffers into that monthly cost. Where with taxes, you will obviously need to look at how that works in your own country. But in Holland, the Netherlands, where I'm at, the rough concept is to set aside 35 to 40% of all the money that comes in. So you need to add that on top of incoming money, right? Then you also need to realize, because by now there's already a number coming out of that sheet, which is good, but you also need to add in actual billable hours. So you already have all your expenses, you already have the buffer you need, like the taxes or the savings you want. And from there you can already calculate that monthly expenses number into an hour or day rate, but you need to realize that not all hours you spend working will be billable hours, because you'll have to do marketing, reach out to people, sell yourself, improve your brand and presentation and portfolio. So maybe of, say, the 40-hour work week spread out over the year, you're maybe only doing 20 or 30 hours per week that is actual billable. And I would recommend for now, if you don't know what that is yet, to just cut it in half. So from the 40 hours, only see 20, maybe 25 as billable. So as you can see in your sheet, by going through these steps, you're making that final number more and more accurate. And I recommend you build that sheet with automatic calculations in it, obviously. This final number, so again, with all the monthly expenses, with all the buffers like taxes and savings, including the calculation when it comes to billable hours, you will get an hour rate out of that sheet. And that's a really good starting point to know what you need at the very minimum. But step 2 and 3, they're almost the same. Step 2 is really to also compare that with what you can find online and through others. It is a little bit difficult to find it, but these days you have AI models. I would still recommend to ask them and see what they say regarding hour rates. If it's accurate, I'm not sure, but still, it's an input. You have platforms like Polycount, which has some good insights on hour rates. But you can also reach out to other freelancers, say on LinkedIn, and simply just ask that you need advice and if they are willing to help you figure this out or share their own hour rates. And I think that's the strongest way to get some actual numbers. And then make sure, and now we're moving into step 3, is keep into consideration at what experience level you're at. So are you a junior, mid, or senior? And obviously there's a different price to each. So when you're asking people, make sure you get a good mix. Ask juniors, mids, and seniors, and you'll get different numbers, including where you add it in the world. So in Europe, numbers would be different than in Asia, for example. And just get a good range of information by asking people and doing your market research. And then also position or figure out where you fit in that range. So if you're in America and you consider yourself a mid, then you know where to compare yourself with, with all the numbers you found so far. Combine that back to step 1 in your sheet, and then you can see where your lifestyle and expenses compare to what you found online or through people, and where you would like to sit within that range within the market research. And this is really a super good starting point, and maybe by now you already have figured out the number you want to ask. But always keep in mind that it is a very competitive world out there. And depending on how you promote yourself and how you come across is also very important. So even if you're a super high-level professional artist, but the way you branded yourself and your portfolio doesn't show that, then obviously when people encounter you, they might not be convinced that you are that high-level artist. So make sure that is also accounted into how you talk to people and present yourself to the world with the matching hour or day rate. So to recap, step 1, make a really good sheet with all your expenses, including all the buffers, and calculate that down to a day or hour rate. Don't forget taxes, which many people do when they're new. Don't forget that the billable hours is probably not going to be a full-time 40 hours. It's probably going to be like 25 hours. So step 1 is that. Step 2 and 3 is do your market research, reach out to people and compare yourself and figure out where you are regarding the experience and professionalism. And at that point, you have a really good starting point to know what you should ask. I hope that helps. If, as always, you need a little more information about this, make sure you comment and ask or reach out to me on LinkedIn or head over to meshmasters.com. And I will catch you in the next one.